The Supreme Court today seemed very skeptical that Trump's tariffs are legal. Yeah, which is horrible, as Trump said this is one of the most important cases in the history of our country, and it's truly life or death. You don't believe that, right? I mean, the prediction market Kalshi before oral arguments had a 48% chance Trump's tariffs prevail, but now after hearing the justices, that's at 29%, and the stock market is soaring because tariffs are bad. Well, let's dive in. Today's case is all about the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, or IEEPA. Yeah, Trump has been using IEEPA to justify his tariffs because the Constitution is pretty clear. Tariffing power resides in Congress. Unless Congress delegates power to the president, and IEEPA was passed by Congress to give the president emergency tariffing power, and because of the fentanyl and trade deficit crises, Trump invoked IEEPA. Well, as the justices point out today, IEEPA doesn't explicitly use the word tariff. Instead, it says the president can investigate, regulate, or prohibit transactions, and therefore IEEPA has never been used for tariffs. It's been used for sanctions and embargoes, and even conservative Chief Justice Roberts said because of a thing called the Major Questions Doctrine, which says for things as major as Congress delegating its power to tariff to the president, those major delegations must be explicitly written in the law, but it's not in IEEPA. Well, the argument is the word regulate gives the president this broad authority, and tariffs are the most simple way to regulate trade. As Justice Kavanaugh pointed out, under your logic, IEEPA can be used to sanction and cut off trade entirely from a country, but it can't be used to levy a 1% tariff on that country. And here's another key point in the case. Tariffs are a tax. It's revenue generation for the government that, according to some estimates, are paid majority by consumers, while sanctions are not a tax. They're foreign policy decisions, so it's apples to oranges. And Trump's lawyers argue these tariffs are regulatory in nature, not a tax, as the goal of them is for no one to pay them, and instead they're used as tools in trade negotiations and to push businesses to onshore manufacturing. The goal seems to be revenue generating for the president, as hours after that argument was made, he bragged once again about the hundreds of billions of dollars tariffs have raised, which, be mindful, may have to be refunded if the court rules against them, which will be a massive corporate handout. I mean, the court has one job, interpret the law, but another key aspect brought up even by Justice Barrett is even if IEEPA gives the president tariffing power, the way he has declared an emergency on every country is stretching the word emergency. What's not disputed is IEEPA leaves it to the president's discretion to decide when an emergency exists, and when you have the hollowing out of our industrial base through massive trade deficits and over 100,000 Americans dying yearly from fentanyl, I think it's justified. Well, Trump used IEEPA for a baseline 10% tariff, so even a country like the Netherlands, who has nothing to do with fentanyl and whom we have a trade surplus with, got a tariff. Look, at the end of the day, Trump has levied tariffs to renegotiate global trade for the betterment of the U.S. If this power is taken away, there goes our leverage. Well, even Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said there's other options for tariffs other than IEEPA, like Section 232 or 301. Yeah, but those are much slower to enact and less powerful and require more congressional oversight. Yeah, because they're actually designed to give the president tariffing power without Congress, so they're more limited in nature, unlike IEEPA, which is for something completely else. And that's where we disagree. Enjoy your corporate handouts and give China back all of its leverage. Tell Trump to do tariffs as intended. Have Congress approve the tariffs. They can't even agree to keep the government open. Yeah, well, doesn't mean you can break the law because of it. Well, that's why we're at the Supreme Court, Bob. Yeah, and you about to lose. Then America will lose.